Hey everyone, welcome to AV Cyberactive. This is the second part video for practicing exam style questions for ISC Squared Certified in Cybersecurity Certification. I'll highly recommend you check that video first before proceeding with this one. These questions are for practice purposes only and are not exam questions. They're crafted to simulate the exam experience and test your understanding of the material. So don't stress too much about it, and it's all about learning and having fun. Now let's go over how this will work. When a question appears on the screen, make sure you read it carefully. I'll also have keywords highlighted to help you focus on the most critical aspects. Feel free to pause the video if you need more time to think about your answer. Once you've made your choice, resume the video and we'll discuss the correct answer and the reasoning behind the right answer and why other choices are incorrect. I'll let my AI friend Ryan take over from here. Ryan, go ahead.
Thank you, Avinash. I'll take over from here. 1. Which of the following best describes the AV times EF equals SLE formula used in quantitative risk analysis? A. It is a measure of the potential impact of a risk event. B. It is a method for calculating the likelihood of a risk event occurring. C. It is a formula for assessing the overall risk associated with a particular asset. D. It is a way of prioritizing mitigation efforts based on the severity and likelihood of risks. A is correct. The AV times EF equals SLE formula is used in quantitative risk analysis to estimate the potential impact of a risk event. AV represents the asset value, or the estimated value of the asset that could be lost or compromised in the event of a risk occurrence. EF represents the exposure factor, or the percentage of the asset value that could be lost or compromised in the event of a risk occurrence. SLE represents the single loss expectancy, or the estimated monetary value of the loss that could result from a single risk occurrence. By calculating the SLE for a particular risk, organizations can better understand the potential impact of that risk and make informed decisions about how to manage it. B, C, and D are incorrect. The formula AVXEF equals SLE is not used to calculate likelihood. Instead, it is used to calculate the cost of one single event, regardless of how likely it is to occur, and it is used for calculating the loss of just one event, not overall risk. SLE calculations can be used for prioritizing mitigation efforts, but the best answer is that SLE is used to measure the potential impact of one event. 2. Which of the following methods can be used to ensure message non-repudiation? A. Encryption. B. Hashing. C. Digital signatures. D. Steganography. C is correct. Message non-repudiation is the ability to prove that a message was sent and the sender cannot deny having sent it. Digital signatures are used to ensure message authenticity. A digital signature is a cryptographic technique that involves creating a unique hash value of the message, and then encrypting that hash value using the sender's private key. The recipient can then verify the signature using the sender's public key, and compare the hash value of the original message to the decrypted hash value in the signature. If they match, the recipient can be confident that the message came from the claimed sender and has not changed during transmission. A is incorrect. Encryption is the process of transforming a message or data using an algorithm to make it unreadable by unauthorized parties. B is incorrect. Hashing is the process of transforming a message or data into a fixed-length string of characters, called a hash value, using a mathematical algorithm. While hashing can ensure the integrity of a message, it does not provide non-repudiation. D is incorrect. Steganography is the practice of hiding information within other information, such as embedding a message within an image or audio file. 3. Which of the following steps is not part of risk identification within the risk management process? A. Examining the potential threats to each asset. B. Identifying recovery strategies for each asset in the environment. C. Identifying the assets in the environment. D. Assessing the impact of threats against the assets. B is correct. Risk identification includes examining each asset, the potential threats against the asset, and the impact of those threats against the asset. However, identifying recovery strategies is not part of risk identification, rather, it is part of business continuity planning. A, C, and D are incorrect because they are all part of the risk identification process. For the systems administrator is implementing procedures to recover data from backup storage in the case of an incident. What type of control functionality is this providing? A. Corrective. B. Directive. C. Detective. D. Deterrent. A is correct. Corrective controls provide functionality that fixes a system, process, or activity after an adverse event has occurred. One example of this might be restoring a system from backup. B is incorrect. Directive controls provide functionality that serves to communicate expected behavior. C is incorrect. Detective controls provide functionality that helps to discover, detect, or identify when something bad might have occurred, such as an adverse activity, event, intruder, or incident. D is incorrect. Deterrent controls provide functionality that deters or discourages a potential adversary from performing an attack or engaging in unwanted behavior. 5. A systems administrator is implementing procedures to back up critical data to be able to recover in the event of an incident. Which cybersecurity foundational concept is being implemented? A. Confidentiality. B. Availability. C. Integrity. D. Governance. B is correct. Availability is focused on ensuring data assets and information resources are available and operational when they are needed. A is incorrect. Confidentiality is the secrecy of the information within the asset being protected. C is incorrect. Ensuring data is not changed by unauthorized users refers to its integrity. D is incorrect. Governance is the process of defining strategies to oversee the entire organization or a specific subset, such as IT governance, security governance, or financial governance, to meet organizational goals and objectives. 6. Which of the following is an example of a qualitative risk assessment? A. Return on investment. B. Expected monetary value. C. 3-point financial analysis. D. Examining threat scenarios and assets and ranking the seriousness and impact of each threat. D is correct. Threat modeling examines each asset and the threat it faces and compares it to other threats and is therefore qualitative. A, B, and C are incorrect. Return on investment, expected monetary value, and 3-point financial are all mathematical terms and, therefore, would only apply to quantitative risk assessment methods. 7. Which of the following is an example of exposure in a cybersecurity context? A. A hacker successfully accessing and stealing sensitive data from a company's network. B. A company's network being infected with malware that causes system downtime. C. A known vulnerability in a web application that could be exploited by an attacker. D. A company experiencing a data breach due to weak passwords. C is correct. Exposure refers to the potential negative consequences that could result from a vulnerability being exploited. In this case, the known vulnerability in the web application could be exploited by an attacker, potentially leading to a data breach or other negative consequences. A, B, and D are incorrect because the vulnerabilities have already been exploited, so the negative consequence of the exposure has already been realized. 8. What is a primary benefit of qualitative risk analysis in cybersecurity? A. It is faster, less resource-intensive, and more adaptable to changes than quantitative methods. B. It provides a more precise understanding of risk likelihood and impact. C. It is easier to understand than quantitative. D. It is more subjective than quantitative. A is correct. Qualitative risk analysis involves assessing risks based on non-numerical criteria, such as the severity of potential consequences, the likelihood of occurrence, and the level of threat sophistication. This approach can be more adaptable to changing threats and vulnerabilities, is faster, and takes fewer resources. B, C, and D are incorrect. Qualitative is not as precise as quantitative, it isn't easier to understand, and while it may be more subjective, that isn't really a benefit. 9. The formula for annual loss expectancy is SLE times ARO equals ALE, but what do the terms mean? A. SLE equals single loss expectancy, ARO equals annual rate of occurrence. B. SLE equals single loss expectancy, ARO equals asset rate of occurrence. C. SLE equals single loss elimination, ARO equals annual rate of occurrence. D. SLE equals single loss elimination, ARO equals asset rate of occurrence. A is correct. The formula is SLE times ARO, ALE, where SLE is the single loss expectancy, ARO is the annualized rate of occurrence, and ALE is the annualized loss expectancy. B, C, and D are incorrect. None of these answers are the correct terms. 10. Which of the following is an example of a technical control? A. Security awareness training. B. Background checks. C. Access controls. D. Incident response planning. C is correct. Technical controls are hardware or software components that protect computing and network resources such as computers, servers, mobile devices, computer networks, or data stored within a system. In a typical organization, common types of technical controls include data security controls, access controls, and network security controls. A, B, and D are incorrect. Security awareness training, background checks, and incident response planning are all administrative controls. Administrative controls are management-oriented controls that provide directives and instruction aimed at people within the organization. 11. Which of the following best defines risk in the context of cybersecurity? A. The likelihood of an event occurring and its impact on an organization's information assets. B. The potential financial loss that could result from a security incident. C. The impact of a security incident on an organization's reputation. D. The likelihood of a successful cyber attack by a threat actor. A is correct. Risk refers to the likelihood of an event occurring and the impact that it could have on an organization's information assets. This includes factors such as the likelihood of a security incident occurring, the potential impact of such an incident, and the measures that can be taken to mitigate the risk. B is incorrect. While financial loss is a potential impact of a security incident, it is not the sole defining factor of risk. C is incorrect. While reputation is important, it is not the only consideration when assessing risk. D is incorrect. While threat actors are a potential source of risk, risk assessment involves a more holistic analysis of all potential risks. 12. Which of the following best describes the concept of defense in depth in cybersecurity? A. Placing all security controls at the network perimeter. B. Implementing a single layer of security controls. C. Using multiple layers of security controls. D. Placing all security controls at the endpoint. C is correct. Defense in depth is a concept in cybersecurity that involves using multiple layers of security controls to protect against threats. This approach recognizes that no single security control is foolproof and that a layered approach can provide better protection. The different layers of security controls can include network security controls, endpoint security controls, access controls, physical security controls, and more. By using multiple layers of security controls, an organization can create a more robust and resilient security posture that can better withstand attacks. A, B, and D are incorrect. Defense in depth is not implementing a single layer of controls or placing all controls at the network or at the endpoints. 13. Which of the following is an example of an administrative control? A. Firewall. B. IDs. C. Security policy. D. Vulnerability scanning. C is correct. Documentation may be one of the more commonly used administrative security controls. It is used by an organization to communicate expectations and requirements to employees and other entities. These often come in the form of various legal agreements, e.g., non-disclosure or non-compete agreement, as well as other organizational documentation that employees must abide by, such as organizational policies, procedures, and standards. A, B, and D are incorrect. Technical controls are hardware or software components that protect computing and network resources such as computers, servers, mobile devices, computer networks, or data stored within a system. These include things like firewalls, intrusion detection systems, IDSs, and vulnerability scanning. 14. What is the correct formula to calculate the single loss expectancy in a quantitative risk analysis? A. AV plus F equals SLE. B. AV times F equals SLE. C. AF times EV equals SLE. D. AF plus EV equals SLE. B is correct. The formula is AV times EF equals SLE, where AV is the asset value, EF is the exposure factor, and SLE is the single loss expectancy. A, C, and D are incorrect. These formulas do not calculate the single loss expectancy. 15. Which of the following items best describes the topic of integrity? A. The confidentiality of data and systems. B. The availability of data and systems. C. The accuracy and consistency of data and systems. D. The protection of data and systems against unauthorized access. C is correct. Integrity refers to the accuracy, consistency, and trustworthiness of data and systems. It involves protecting data from unauthorized modification or deletion and ensuring that data is accurate and consistent. A is incorrect. Confidentiality is the secrecy of the information within the asset being protected. B is incorrect. Availability is focused on ensuring data assets and information resources are available and operational when they are needed. D is incorrect. Protecting data from unauthorized access supports integrity, but it isn't the best answer. 16. Which of the following is an example of a physical security threat? A. Theft of equipment. B. The malware infection. C. Brute force password attacks. D. Social engineering. A is correct. Theft of equipment is an example of a physical security threat. Physical security threats involve the theft or destruction of physical assets such as equipment, facilities, or data storage devices. B, C, and D are incorrect. Physical security threats involve the theft or destruction of physical assets such as equipment, facilities, or data storage devices. Brute force password attacks and malware infections are both examples of cybersecurity threats, while social engineering is a type of attack that aims to manipulate individuals, but none of these are necessarily physical threats. 17. Which of the following is an example of a physical security control? A. In-network firewall. B. Antivirus. C. Human resources policy. D. Perimeter fencing. D is correct. Physical controls are tangible controls put in place to protect physical resources against physical threats, including but not limited to break-ins, fires, theft, physical harm, and so on. These include protective measures for people, assets, and facilities. In a typical organization, examples of physical controls include perimeter fencing, locks, man-traps, lighting, and so on. A and B are incorrect. Network firewalls and antivirus are technical controls. C is incorrect. Human resources policies are administrative control. 18. Which of the following authentication methods involves using 2 or more factors to verify a user's identity? A. Single-factor authentication. B. Two-factor authentication. C. Multi-factor authentication. D. Biometric authentication. C is correct. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, involves using 2 or more factors to authenticate a user's identity. This can include something the user knows, something the user has, and something the user is, such as biometric data. A is incorrect. Authentication is the process of verifying a user's identity. Single-factor authentication involves using only one factor, such as a password, to authenticate a user's identity. B is incorrect. Two-factor authentication, 2FA, involves using 2 factors to authenticate a user's identity. D is incorrect. Biometric authentication involves using unique physical characteristics, such as fingerprints, to authenticate a user's identity. 19. Sally has just been appointed Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, of a healthcare services firm. She has decided to start a risk management process and is justifying it to her boss. What should Sally say is the primary goal of the risk management process? A. To eliminate all risk. B. To identify and assess risks so the organization can decide on appropriate security measures. C. To implement security controls. D. To accept all risks. B is correct. The primary goal of the risk management process is to identify and assess risks, so the organization can implement the right security controls based on the organization's business environment. A, C, and D are incorrect. It is not possible to eliminate all risks, and accepting all risks is not a recommended approach to risk management. 20. Which of the following is an example of a physical control? A. Password policy. B. Encryption. C. Security cameras. D. Incident response plan. C is correct. Physical controls are measures that are put in place to protect physical assets, such as buildings, equipment, and hardware. Examples of physical controls include security cameras, access controls, and biometric authentication systems. A and D are incorrect. A password policy and incident response plan are administrative controls. B is incorrect. Encryption is an example of a technical control. 21. Which of the following items best describes the principle of confidentiality? A. Confidentiality ensures data is available when needed and only authorized parties have access to it. B. Confidentiality ensures data is accurate and up to date. C. Confidentiality ensures data is protected from unauthorized modification or destruction. D. Confidentiality ensures data is kept secret and not disclosed to unauthorized parties. D is correct. The confidentiality principle refers to the protection of sensitive information from unauthorized access or disclosure. A is incorrect. Availability refers to the ability of authorized parties to access data when needed. B is incorrect. Accuracy refers to the correctness of data and is not related to confidentiality. C is incorrect. Integrity refers to the protection of data from unauthorized modification or destruction. 22. The Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, of an organization is creating a document consisting of management statements outlining leadership support and requirements for the security program. Which of the following best describes this document? A. Security policy. B. Security procedure. C. Security standard. D. Law regulation. A is correct. A security policy is a document that outlines an organization's approach to information security. Policies are high-level management statements providing prescriptive directives to the organization. B and C are incorrect. Procedures are step-by-step workflows or instructions that define how a task should be accomplished. External standards are documents developed and published by external standards organizations containing best practices that may be used for the development of security program elements. Internal standards establish methods for complying with internal policies by driving a consistent approach to meeting organizational requirements by defining specific technologies, protocols, methods, or controls to be used. D is incorrect. Laws and regulations are rules typically established by a governmental body or similar agency that specify requirements that are legally enforceable. 23. The Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, for an organization is asking the security engineers to build multiple layers of controls to increase the effort required for a potential attacker to succeed in compromising systems and reduce the risk if one control fails. Which of the following concepts is the CISO implementing? A. Least privilege. B. Defense in depth. C. Security governance. D. Authentication. B is correct. The use of multiple layers of security controls is referred to as defense in depth or layered defense. Defense in depth is the concept of coordinating and leveraging multiple layers of controls to increase the effort required for a potential attacker to succeed in their nefarious activity. A is incorrect. The principle of least privilege is the concept that a user should only have access to the resources that they need in order to do their job, but no more than that. C is incorrect. Security governance is focused on developing strategies to oversee the security program to facilitate alignment with the goals and objectives of the organization. D is incorrect. Authentication is the method by which systems verify that a user who is requesting access to a resource really is who they claim to be. 24. Which of the following correctly identifies the concepts that make up the CAI triad? A. Common, available, and integrated. B. Confidentiality, availability, and integrity. C. Risk, availability, and integrity. D. Confidentiality, availability, and integration. B is correct. One of the foundational concepts of cybersecurity is three core types of protection: confidentiality, availability, and integrity, which make up the CAI triad. A, C, and D are incorrect. Common, integrated, and integration are not part of the foundational concepts. 25. What is the difference between identification, authentication, and verification in a cybersecurity context? A. Identification is the process of verifying the identity of a user. Authentication is the process of determining what resources a user can access, and verification is the process of validating the accuracy of user information. B. Identification is the process of providing user information. Authentication is the process of verifying that information, and verification is the process of granting access to resources. C. Identification is the process of a user providing information that claims them to be a particular identity. Authentication is the process of verifying that identity, and verification is the process of validating the accuracy of user information. D. Identification, authentication, and verification are all the same thing. C is correct. Identification is the process of a user providing information that claims them to be a particular identity, such as with a username. Authentication is the process of verifying that identity, typically a credential, such as a password or biometric data. Verification is the process of validating the accuracy of user information, such as checking that a name matches a record in a database. A, B, and D are incorrect. While authentication and verification are part of the process of user identification, they are not the same as identification itself. Thank you.
Now that you've attempted all the questions, head down to the comment section, let us know how many questions you got correct out of the total. Share your thoughts, insights, or any challenges you faced during the quiz. It's a great way for us to connect and learn from each other. In case you need any coaching, feel free to reach out to me for both free and paid consultation. I hope you enjoyed testing your knowledge with these practice questions today. Don't forget to comment below and subscribe for more engaging content. Until next time, happy learning. Bye now.